going to tell you something that no one in your church, your synagogue, your prayer group, your family has ever told you. And after today, you will never speak about money the same way again. For 83 years, I have walked this earth. I have sat with kings and with beggars. I have prayed at the wall in Jerusalem during times of war and times of peace. I have buried friends who died wealthy and friends who died with nothing. And in all those decades, all those thousands of conversations about blessing and lack, about abundance and poverty, I have discovered one thing that separates the people whose finances never recover from the people whose finances break open like a dam after a drought. It is not how much they work. It is not how much they tithe. It is not even how much they pray. It is what they say. Specifically, there are 3 combinations of words, 3 phrases that you are almost certainly speaking over your own money right now, today, this week, that are functioning as a spiritual curse. Not a curse someone put on you, a curse you are putting on yourself every single day without realizing it. The Torah understood this 3,000 years ago. The ancient rabbis encoded it in texts that most modern people read without seeing. And today I'm going to show you what they saw, why it matters for your finances specifically, and what you must say instead. Before I go any further, I need you to do something. Type the word Baruch in the comments right now. Baruch means blessed. When you type that word, you are not just engaging with an algorithm. You are making a declaration in the spiritual realm that you are ready to receive what I am about to release over your life. Type Baruch right now and hit that like button, because when you press like you are agreeing with the blessing I am about to speak over you, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because what I am releasing here is not entertainment. It is ancient medicine for a modern wound. Now, let me take you back. In the book of Numbers, the Torah tells us a story that everyone thinks is about spies. 12 men sent by Moses to scout the promised land. They go in, they come back. 10 of them return with a report that changes everything. They say the land is good, yes. The land flows with milk and honey, yes. But then they say 3 categories of words that seal their fate. They say we are not able. They say the people are stronger than we are. And then they say something so devastating that the Torah records its consequences for an entire generation. They say we were like grasshoppers in our own sight. In our own sight. The Talmud in Tractate Sota records that the Holy One said something shocking in response to those words. He said, I will forgive them for what they said about the giants. I can forgive fear of others, but I will not forgive what they said about themselves. Do you understand what that means? Heaven can absorb your fear of what is outside you. What heaven cannot absorb, what breaks the circuit of blessing, is the declaration of smallness you make about yourself. And right now, today, millions of people are making those same declarations about their money every single morning without knowing it. The great Rabbi Nachmanides, one of the most brilliant minds in all of Jewish history, wrote in his commentary on Genesis something that should have changed Western civilization, but got buried in translation. He wrote that the human tongue is the only instrument in creation that operates in both the physical and spiritual realms simultaneously. When an animal makes a sound, it produces vibration. When a human being speaks with intention, it produces reality. This is not poetry. This is how Nachmanides understood the mechanics of creation itself. God spoke the world into existence, and you made in that image are speaking your world into existence every day. The question is, what world are you building? This is why the three phrases I'm about to reveal to you are so dangerous. They are not just negative thinking. They are active spiritual construction. You are building a house of lack with your own words. And then you pray for breakthrough, and you wonder why nothing changes. The prayer is trying to build a door, but the words you speak the other 23 hours of the day are building walls. Let me show you the first phrase. The first phrase you must never say about your money is this: I can never get ahead. I know you have said this. Maybe you said it last week. Maybe you said it this morning. You look at your bank account, you see the numbers, you feel the weight of it, and you say, I just cannot get ahead. It feels true. It feels like an honest assessment of your situation. But I am telling you right now, as a man who has studied Torah for 8 decades, that phrase is not a description. It is a decree. In Hebrew, the concept is called dibur, speech that creates. The ancient Kabbalists taught that when you speak a statement of permanent limitation over yourself, you are not observing reality. You are legislating it. You are speaking into the spiritual realm. What you want to see become permanent in the physical realm. And the spiritual realm does not check your intentions. It does not say, oh, he is just venting. He does not really mean it. It takes what you speak at face value. The Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Hasidic Judaism, one of the most spiritually gifted men who ever lived, once said this. He said, wherever a man's thoughts and words go, that is where he himself goes. And when I first heard this, everything changed for me. I realized that speaking, I can never get ahead, is not a confession of circumstance. It is a travel itinerary. You are booking a ticket and paying for it with your own breath. Now, I want to show you the Hebrew root of what is actually happening here. The word for tongue in Hebrew is lashon, and there is an entire body of Jewish law built around what is called Shmirat HaLashon, the guarding of the tongue. Most people think this refers only to not speaking evil about others, gossip, slander, that kind of thing. But the deeper teaching, the one that the mystics preserved and that almost nobody in the modern world knows, is that Shmirat HaLashon applies with equal or greater force to what you say about yourself. Because what you say about yourself, you say to yourself, and it enters through the ears and goes directly into the soul. It bypasses your rational mind. It plants itself at the root level of your identity, and then it grows. Stop saying, I can never get ahead, starting today. When you feel that thought rising, I want you to do something specific. I want you to say out loud, even if it is a whisper, even if you are alone in your car, my provision is being prepared. 3 words, my provision is prepared. Say it right now, wherever you are watching this. Say it out loud. My provision is prepared. That is not denial of your situation. That is the declaration David made in Psalm 23, when he said, you prepare a table before me, present tense, in the presence of my enemies. Before he could see the table, before the debt was resolved, before the bank account changed, he declared what was already prepared in the Spirit. And when he declared it, he became someone the table was prepared for. The second phrase you must never say about your money is one that will shock you. because this one sounds spiritual. It sounds humble. It sounds even righteous. People say it in churches all over America. They say it in prayer. They say it and feel like they are being responsible and realistic. The phrase is, "We just do not have the money for that." Now wait. I can hear you already. Rabbi, that is just the truth. If I do not have the money, I do not have the money. What am I supposed to say? Let me show you why this phrase is so destructive. It is not what it says. It is what it declares about identity. It is not the statement of fact. It is the permanent label you put on your household. We are the family that does not have. We are the people defined by what is absent. We live in the house of not having. The great Rabbi Akiva, who started his Torah study at the age of 40 with nothing, who became one of the most celebrated sages in all of Jewish history, taught something that is recorded in the Talmud in Tractate Avot. He said that language is not just the expression of a man's inner world. Language is the architecture of a man's inner world. Build with the right materials, and the structure stands. Build with broken materials, and the structure collapses no matter how hard you work. Here is what I want you to understand about the phrase, "We just do not have the money." In Hebrew, the concept of ein li, I do not have, carries a weight that the English translation does not fully communicate. In the Kabbalistic tradition, the word ein, meaning nothing or absence, is associated with the highest spiritual realm, the realm of pure potential before manifestation. When you say ein in the mystical understanding, you are invoking the realm of what has not yet come into being. That is a sacred realm. It is where creation comes from. But when you apply it constantly, repeatedly, habitually to your finances, you are declaring your finances to be permanently pre-creation, permanently in the realm of not yet, never arriving, always absent. The correction is subtle but radical. Instead of, "We do not have the money," begin saying, "This is not our current season for that," or "We are directing our resources elsewhere right now." Do you hear the difference? One phrase makes poverty your identity. The other makes scarcity a temporary season. And in the spirit, the difference between an identity and a season is enormous. An identity takes extraordinary effort to break. A season passes naturally. I want to stop right here, right in the middle of this teaching, and I need you to do something. Type the word shalom in the comments right now. Not because it is a tradition, not because it costs you nothing, but because you are making a declaration that you are ready to cross over from the identity of lack into the season of abundance. Shalom means peace, wholeness, nothing missing, nothing broken. When you type that word, you are speaking it over your own financial situation. Type shalom right now, and then keep watching, because the third phrase is the most dangerous of all, and it is the one that almost nobody ever suspects. Before I reveal the third phrase, I want to tell you about a man who came to see me some years ago. I will not use his name. He was a businessman from New York. He had built a respectable company, worked for 20 years, had a good reputation, paid his bills, but something invisible was pressing down on his finances. Every time he got close to real breakthrough, something would collapse. A deal would fall through. A partner would betray him. A market would shift. He came to me exhausted. He said, "Rabbi, I have prayed. I have given tzedakah. I have done everything I know to do. Why is my ceiling so low?" I asked him one question. I said, tell me how you describe your financial situation to other people when they ask. And he thought for a moment, and he said, I usually say, well, we are doing okay. You know, just getting by money is always tight, but we manage. I looked at him. I said, there is your answer. His eyes went wide. He said, what do you mean I was being humble? I was not boasting. I was not displaying wealth inappropriately. I said, you are not being humble. Humility is saying, thank God for what I have been given. What you were doing is something different. You were rehearsing a narrative, a perpetual struggle. You were telling everyone in your life, including yourself, that tight and managing and barely is your normal. And what we declare as our normal is what heaven treats as our normal. This brings me to the third phrase. And this one is so common, so accepted, so embedded in the culture of Christian and Jewish financial conversation that you will feel resistance when I name it. But I need you to hear this. The third phrase you must never say about your money is money is always tight, or any variation of it. Money is always short. We always end up short at the end of the month. It is always one step forward, two steps back. The word I need you to hear is always, always that word. Because the other two phrases I gave you are bad, but the word always turns them from descriptions into prophecies. There is a concept in Jewish law called chazakah. A chazakah is a legal presumption that arises from repetition. If something happens 3 times, the rabbis teach that it establishes a presumption, a spiritual default, that then requires active intervention to overcome. When you say money is always tight, you are not describing a pattern. You are invoking chazakah. You are declaring that tightness has established itself as the legal default of your household. And then you need a miracle just to break out of normal. Because you have spoken tightness into being the established, presumed defaulted reality of your finances. The Talmud in Tractate Berachot contains a teaching that is almost never cited in financial discussions, but that I believe is one of the most important financial teachings in all of Scripture. It says that a man should always ask for his needs to be met before he prays, because speech shapes the spiritual channels through which blessing flows. Do not speak closed channels and then pray for blessing to flow through them. The blessing cannot force its way through language that has sealed the pipe. I want to show you what this looks like in the Torah. In Genesis, when God speaks the world into existence, the Hebrew text uses a very specific grammatical structure called the cohortative. It is a form that expresses strong will and intention directed toward a future that is being brought into being right now. Let there be light is not a request. It is not a wish. It is not a description. It is an act of creation disguised as a sentence. And when you speak about your finances, you are using the same faculty, the same divine gift of language, but you are using it to create the opposite of what you want. Let me give you the 3 replacements, the 3 things to say instead. Instead of, I can never get ahead, say, my provision is being prepared and it is arriving in this season. Instead of, we do not have the money for that. Say we are stewarding our resources and creating space for increase. Instead of money is always tight, say, I am in a season of transition, and abundance is my covenant inheritance. These are not affirmations in the popular sense. They are not positive thinking. They are covenant declarations. They are you speaking in alignment with what Scripture says is true about a child of the Most High God. Deuteronomy 28 does not say blessing might come if you are lucky enough. It says the blessing of the Lord shall come upon you and overtake you. That is your covenant language. Speak it. Right now, as you are watching this, I want to speak something directly to you, because I believe someone is watching this video, and you have been in a financial valley for so long that you cannot even remember what it felt like to breathe easily about money. You have been managing and barely and tight and short for so many years that it has become your identity without you even realizing it. You do not just have financial struggles. You have started to believe that you are a financially struggling person, and those are very different things. One is a situation. The other is a soul-level declaration about who you are. And I am telling you, with the full weight of 83 years of Torah study and the authority of a man who has watched these principles work in hundreds of lives, that what you speak tonight will begin to shift what you see tomorrow, not because of magic, not because God is waiting to be manipulated by the right combination of words, but because your language is the external expression of your internal faith. And your internal faith is what opens or closes the spiritual channels through which provision flows. The Baal Shem Tov taught that prayer is not speaking to God from a distance. Prayer is aligning yourself so fully with divine truth that the boundary between your will and heaven's will begins to dissolve. And I am telling you that the first act of that alignment, the first thing that has to change before anything in your external world can change, is the language of your inner world. Guard your tongue. Guard it fiercely, because you are not just speaking words, you are writing your future. Now let me give you a 3-day practice, because learning without action is just information, and information without transformation is worthless. On the first day, I want you to spend 1 hour, just 1 hour, in total silence about money. Do not speak about your finances to anyone, not to complain, not to explain, not to justify. This is called in Hebrew, shtikat zahav, the silence of gold. The mystics taught that the silence before a declaration is what gives the declaration its power. You are clearing the channel. You are stopping the flow of cursed speech so that the channel can be washed clean. On the second day, I want you to write down every negative phrase you typically use about your money. Every one. Get a piece of paper, take your time, write them down, and then I want you to do something very specific. I want you to cross out each one, not erase it, cross it out. Because in Jewish legal tradition, crossing out a document does not pretend it never existed. It acknowledges it existed and formally revokes it. You are revoking your old financial declarations. You are canceling the contract you made with lack through your own tongue. On the third day, I want you to stand up, not sit. Stand. Standing is a posture of authority in Torah tradition. The Kohanim, the priests, stood when they blessed the people. And I want you to read aloud 3 times with a voice you can hear the following declaration. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack. My table is being prepared. My cup overflows. Goodness and mercy are pursuing me. I am a steward of abundance, and my words from this day forward will build the house that blessing wants to live in. Speak it 3 times, 3 days in a row. Every morning, before you check your phone, before you look at your bank account, before you speak to anyone about money, speak those words over your day. I want to tell you what happened to that businessman from New York. After our conversation, he went home He told his wife what we had discussed. He said we are changing the way we speak about our finances starting today. They began practicing Shmirat HaLashon over their own money. They stopped rehearsing the narrative of tight and managing and barely. They began speaking in the language of season of transition, of covenant inheritance. Within 2 months, a deal that had been stalled for 3 years suddenly moved. Within 4 months, 3 new partnerships materialized from what seemed like nowhere. Within a year, he was not just getting by. He was giving away more than he used to earn. He called me, and he said, "Rabbi, nothing changed in my strategy. Nothing changed in my industry. Nothing changed in the economy. The only thing that changed was what I said." Because words are not just descriptions of reality. Words are the building material of reality. The great Maimonides, the Rambam, whose wisdom still stands 12 centuries after his death, wrote in his Mishneh Torah that the human being is the only creature whose inner nature and outer life are connected by the faculty of speech. When you change your speech, you do not just change what people hear. You change what your own soul believes is possible. And when your soul begins to believe differently, your actions shift, your discernment sharpens your eyes, open to opportunities that were always there, but invisible to a consciousness tuned to lack. Let me tell you the most important thing I will say in this entire teaching, and I want you to receive it, not just with your mind, but with your spirit. The reason these 3 phrases are so deadly is not only because of what they do to you, it is because of who is listening. In the Kabbalistic tradition, the Zohar teaches that your words go out into the world as living entities. Every word you speak, the holy ones and the destructive ones, takes on a life of its own in the spiritual realm. The words you speak in blessing go upward. The words you speak in curse, even unintentional curse, even the curse of perpetual negativity about your own circumstances. Those words build structures in the spiritual realm that then block the flow of blessing trying to reach you. This is why the problem never seems to be about effort. You work hard and nothing changes. You pray faithfully and nothing changes. Because above the level of your effort and above the level of your prayer, there are structures built from years of destructive speech that are functioning as a dam. The river of blessing is flowing. It is always flowing. The question is, what has been built in front of it? Your 3 days of practice is not about convincing God to do something he has not decided to do. It is about removing the dam you built with your own tongue. It is about clearing the channels so that what has been trying to reach you for years can finally arrive. Someone watching this right now has been praying for the same breakthrough for 7 years. 7 years. And heaven has been ready to answer the whole time. But every morning, you wake up and you speak the curse back into the channel before the blessing can come through. Tonight, before you sleep, I want you to be the person who changes that. Not next week, tonight. Let me close with this. In the book of Proverbs, the 21st chapter and the 23rd verse, Solomon writes, "Whoever guards his mouth and tongue guards his soul from distress. Not whoever guards his investments, not whoever guards his business dealings. Whoever guards his mouth guards his soul from distress." Because Solomon knew what we have forgotten. The mouth is the gate of the soul, and what you speak through that gate either lets life in or keeps it out. You are not made for barely. You were not made for tight. You were not made for always short and always struggling. You were made in the image of the Creator. And the first thing the Creator did was speak. Speak rightly about yourself. Speak what heaven says about you. Speak in the language of covenant inheritance and not in the language of lack. May the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob open the floodgates of heaven over your finances from this day forward. May every dam of destructive speech be demolished by the power of covenant declaration. May your tongue become a builder of blessing and not a demolisher of provision. May the three phrases leave your vocabulary forever, and may the language of abundance, of bracha, of divine covenant become so natural in your mouth that lack forgets your address. May you go from barely to overflow, from tight to tzedakah, from managing to blessing others. May your children inherit a language of faith and not a vocabulary of lack. May this be the week that everything shifts, not because of luck, not because of coincidence, but because you guarded your mouth and let heaven in. If this teaching changed something and you share this video with someone whose finances are drowning, your share might be the moment their breakthrough begins. Subscribe to this channel because this is only the beginning of what I am releasing. And in the comments below, type the word Baruch, blessed. Declare over yourself and over everyone watching that we are the blessed and not the cursed, the lenders and not the borrowers, the head and not the tail. Shalom.